Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero #1, a reprint of the classic comic, written by Larry Hama, penciler by Trimpe, ink by Bob McLeod, lettering by Jim Novak, coloring by Glynis, Wein. Yeah, so, or is it Wein? Whatever. I'm sure I mispronounced some names. I apologize. Yeah, so this is a reprint of the original G.I. Joe, Real American Hero #1. G.I. Joe is now at Skybound, and to kick off the, well, I would say new direction, whatever. We're talking about the new publisher. They're reprinting this classic comic. Issue 301 is also out this week, which continues the series that was published by IDW. We're going to do a different review of that. We've already done a written review. We'll have a video review as well. I wanted to focus on this because this is actually really, really interesting. If you never have read this comic, this is a great opportunity to do it. Obviously there's a little bit different. You got the Skybound info on it, but also interior. There's a little bit of difference as well, which I did not know. Like, I like my G.I. Joe. I wouldn't say I'm a G.I. Joe expert, but I appreciate it. So Larry Hama in the beginning talks that there is some things he wanted to change about G.I. Joe. There was a mistake in the silent interlude issue in issue 21 with a small scene that the colorists didn't understand and something was done wrong. That was corrected. But the main error that actually bothered him since 1982 was a speech in this comic that Hawk gives and was rewritten by editorial without Hama's knowledge, and it completely changes the context of G.I. Joe and into more of like a jingoistic hardliner. So Skybound and Hasbro allowed the original text to be used for this, and it is a hell of a change. I'm not going to give it away, but it really kind of sticks more towards the ultimate weapon of democracy that is on the cover here than the more rah-rah go United States jingoistic aspect that, like, I know I grew up with, and it took me kind of many years to really kind of get over that view, but it's definitely not a property that really is that anymore, and apparently it was never really meant to be that. So it is a really interesting difference because of that. The story itself, I mean, it's simple. Like, G.I. Joe needs to go out and rescue a scientist who's been kidnapped by Cobra. I'm not going to go into the details there. It's way more adult than that simplified storyline. There's a lot about the scientist. There's a lot about the G.I. Joe characters' thoughts about rescuing the scientist. What's interesting also is there's some stuff in here that feels like it's pertinent today. There's talk about just bombing an island and getting rid of the enemy and killing innocent people to complete the mission, and really, like, the statements like, that's not what G.I. Joe is. That's not what they're supposed to be doing as soldiers, killing indiscriminately. Things need to be done right, more precise, more like a knife than a scalpel than a, carpet bombing. So in that way, like, the comic's really interesting. I think to read it, there's a lot that kind of echoes and reflects on today and things that are discussed now, which I thought was fascinating. Also, it brought me back to the G.I. Joe roots. Like, I had G.I. Joe figures back when they came out, way long ago. And I remember the figures being, like, just more like generic green soldiers with maybe a little bit done up. I totally forget the character's name. They had, like, the red on his chest. I had him. I had, like, just the generic green soldier, and I remember busting out his thumb. Yeah, like, and then it was years later you got the more, I'd say, colorful characters and the gimmicky characters, I think is the best way of putting it. So to me, I think it's a fascinating read of where we've gone from to where we are. Like, the Joes here are much more in uniform, look the same. Cobra soldiers are much more in uniform, look the same. And then they all have maybe a little bit that kind of stands apart on G.I. Joe's end, and it seems more like their attitude as opposed to how they're dressed is what really makes them stand out, which I think is kind of cool. And it really kind of emphasized here, like, what Stalker is the one that, like, is the big difference, right? But yeah, like, it's cool to go back and read it. It's an intriguing piece of history and a really key piece of history. So yeah, like overall, like it's kind of cool to go back. There's another story in the back, Hot Potato. There's a little bit of kind of like data cards-ish stuff taking you through the characters, and then cool items like this on the back. You know, it's fun to go back and read this. Like I kind of hope Skybound maybe binds up the original series and releases them as trades or graphic novels, maybe done up a little bit, some back material. Because after reading this, kind of makes me want to go back and like read the entire run. So yeah, like while this isn't in the Energon universe that we know of, it's a pretty cool issue. It's some awesome history. If you've never had a chance to read it, I definitely would. The story's solid. I mean, it's a bit less cheesy than I remember than G.I. Joe. I mean, G.I. Joe was always like, I'm going to go build a weather machine and dominate the world, or I'm going to bankrupt all of the economies by giving away fake money, like stuff like that. Now, this one's much more simpler. I'm going to kidnap a scientist and then extract the nuclear information from her mind to like create a weapon. Doesn't get more complicated than that. So yeah, fun comic, fun trip down memory lane. Like, I know I've read this before, but it's been many, many, many years that I've read this. So, yeah, it's a cool one. It's cool. I'm excited. Can't wait. Can't wait to see where all this goes. You can go get this. It's out in comic shops. You can get yours. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell the shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we do get a small percentage. And by doing that, you support our site. So thank you for that. Just watching if you do support us, so thank you as well. If you're into comics, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics. And yo, Joe! Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.